started out with contemplation, really, and that means ultimately mysticism. We ought to build all this on our own personal experience. We always have to bring things back to our personal experience. What I said about this shift that is taking place in our time from the external skeleton psychologically to the internal skeleton, that has to do with switching from a report about God, which is a second-hand God, to the first-hand the experience of the divine. Most people are no longer satisfied with reports about how other people experience the divine. The whole Bible could be understood as a record of how people in different times and in different places experience the divine very differently. That's why there are such contradictory images in the Bible. So we are no longer satisfied even with the biblical reports, but they may be helpful and inspiring, but ultimately, unless you have experienced it yourself, it isn't true for you. Many people feel that today. And so we have to go back to our own mystic experience. And we cannot excuse ourselves and say, well, I'm not a mystic, because the mystic is not a special kind of human being, but every human being is a special kind of mystic, and we better live up to that vocation, because as human beings, we are those animals that look for ultimate meaning. That's what defines us as humans, and we find that ultimate meaning in experiencing communion with the ultimate, limitless communion. And fortunately, this has been explored by psychology in a very helpful way by Abraham Maslow, a great psychiatrist of the mid-20th century, who wrote a little book that I can recommend very highly. It's a very, very thin book, and it's still in print, and it's called Peak Experiences, Values, and Religion. That is really one of the important books for anybody who is interested in spirituality and religion. And it is important for us here, for everything that I'm going to say, that you can pinpoint some mystic experience or peak experience of your own. Maslow originally called this mystic experience and wrote about it as mystic experience, but that didn't sit so well in psychological literature and caused some raised eyebrows, and so he eventually changed it to peak experience, but insisted to the end of his life that it was undistinguishable from the experience of mystics as they reported. And he came to study peak experiences or mystic experiences in a very interesting way. He was a young psychiatrist, had his PhD, but was deeply impressed by some teachers that he had, Margaret Mead being one of them. And he wanted to know why these teachers were such great and healthy human beings. And he says, even though I had my PhD in psychology, nothing had prepared me to answer the question why people are so healthy. We always ask ourselves why they are sick and what makes them sick, but health was not within our field. And so he asked himself what makes them so healthy, and he interviewed them, and he interviewed many other people of whom everybody would say, well, they're really kind of what you call a healthy human being, psychologically resilient, creative, generous, whatever, true human beings. And he found that what they all had in common was mystic experiences. And they differed from the less obviously healthy ones by allowing these experiences to inform their lives, they built their lives around these experiences or out of these experiences. While other people would say, I never would tell Maslow, I never told anybody about it. I thought this was a momentary insanity. And Maslow suggests maybe that was their only sane moment. Even we forget them, not only suppress them, but forget them, don't tell anybody about it. And the creative people, the really healthy ones, build everything around that kind of experience. And Maslow came to see, and he worked with a large number of